Hey everybody, Objectively Dan here, and I want to talk to you guys about this idea. It's called manifesting. Have you heard of it? It's about the law of attraction, okay? Basically, the idea is if you want something enough, you can just kind of manifest it into the universe. You can kind of make it happen, which, I mean, is one thing if you're trying to improve your personal psychology, but what if you're trying to end poverty or like hunger or like sickness or just like, anything that's like actually changing people's material conditions? I don't know. I guess maybe there's some limits to this manifesting idea, or maybe it's just all BS. I don't know. Maybe you believe it. If you do, you should call in because the show is starting right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Truth Wanted. I am your host, Objectively Dan, and this is the live call-in show that happens every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time, where we talk to people about what they believe and why. And if you'd like to call us, you can at 512-991-9242, or you can call through your computer at tiny.cc/calltw. And as always, Truth Wanted is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. And every single week, I try to have a special guest. This week is no different. It's Calvin Smith joining us back on the show again. Calvin, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me. I always love doing it with you. So nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you again, Calvin. For those who have not seen you before, who are you?
Yeah, who the heck am I?
Who the heck are
my name
you?
Is who am I? Who's this guy? Who's this bald guy on the screen? I'm Calvin. People tend to call me Unquestionable Calvin due to the podcast that I used to do called Unquestionable with Calvin Smith. That's kind of where my story kind of starts. I talk to people about what they believe, why they believe it on my show, alien beliefs, religious beliefs, everything in between. And now I'm just
familiar.
Mostly, yeah, I know, right? It sounds a little bit familiar. Might have been some inspiration in there, Wow. So I just kind of talk to people about what they believe, why they believe it. I deconstruct, religious beliefs, conspiratorial beliefs. I do street epistemology on my days off. I'm just kind of a guy who likes to know, what people are thinking. And, if they have a positive claim on something, I want to believe that with them. So
wow, man, we have a lot in common there, Calvin. Imagine that, and that's why you're a great guest for our show today. Of course, yes, Calvin Smith, everybody back on the show. And folks, I got something special for you because we owe you something from last week. Okay, last week we got a little bit crazy on this show, and I already gave my apologies to the crew because we did, in fact, we have to have some law and order around these parts, okay? And it's my job as a host to make sure that we keep that law and order, okay? And the crew works very hard to make sure this show happens, and we got to show them the respect they deserve. But don't worry, because there is something that came out of it, because we did meet our donation goal last week, which was that $50 to get Secular Rarity to show us that picture of himself with a Salvador Dali mustache. And let me tell you, it is beautiful. Crew, pop that baby on screen for me real quick. Bam, look at that sucker. That's real. That's not Photoshop. That was a choice. That was a choice. This man woke up one day and was like, I'm going to do this. And he met his goals, ladies and gentlemen. Most of us don't get that far in life, but he did it. And you know what? More power to him. I don't know why he's not still rocking it, to be honest.
I was doing the handlebar mustache for a while, so like I get it, but I mean
he looks like he's about to tie a woman and like put them on a train track. You know what I mean? Like he's about to do some
hog tie.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's really crazy. But anyway, shout outs to Elliot for giving us that picture and letting us tease him for a little bit for that one. That was pretty good. Crazy show last week, guys. You should check it out if you haven't already. But let's focus on the here and now, Calvin. And by the here and now, I mean, let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about our question of the week. And to do that, we have special backup host Kelly to help us out with that. Kelly, what's going on?
Hi.
Wow. What's up?
Oh,
not much. I was just wondering if I was looking at the calls and I was wondering if we had a call screener, and I was just checking. I was just writing it when you announced my name and I was like, oh, whoa. So I wasn't quite prepared. But
I should, I should have. I need to, because I can see your face pretty much the whole time during the show. And you know what? Like, I'm not going to say I did that on purpose, but I am going to say that I could see that you weren't ready, and I did it anyway. So
that's cool. That's awesome.
It is what it is.
That is awesome. If you can, always do that. So
okay, all right. I have his permission. You heard it. That's recorded forever. So okay.
So last week we asked you, what would you expect to see during the apocalypse? And here are our 3 favorite answers. Number 3 from Chuck Gatos. Who else? What would you expect to see during the apocalypse? A really awkward moment when the heavenly hosts and the Norse gods both show up. Would that be a rumble?
That would be, I think that's a rumble.
I think that's I would get a ready rumble.
For. Yeah, absolutely. That should be a book. It probably is a book.
Yeah, it almost certainly is a book.
Got to be, right? It has to be. I don't know. Anyway.
Number 2 from Anastasia. By asking you to enter the weekly question, I took it more personally. My apocalypse would be the extinction of the cocoa plant. I have no idea why. I love cocoa. The cacao plant. I should have said that the correct way. The cacao plant.
Yeah. I mean, there's substitutes. You can get by, right? There's ways to get around that. I don't know. I guess that's
actually most American.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Most American chocolate bars aren't chocolate.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of them aren't even made with that stuff anyway.
Yeah, right.
So, I don't know. Maybe it's not so bad. Don't be so pessimistic. That's what we're saying, Colin.
Anyway. Yeah, I guess. And the big number 1 from Chuck Gatos. What would you expect to see during the apocalypse? Another worldwide flood when Jesus starts a 1,000-year reign by mistake. Reign as an RAIN. See what he did there?
Yeah. I see it. Good to point out for the audio listeners who would not have gotten that joke. And that's why I'm always stressing, like, we need to make sure our audio listeners understand everything that's happening. Sorry, folks, because you didn't get to see Elliot's picture earlier, but let me tell you, it's something else. Anyway.
You're going to want to go back and take a look at that.
You will want to go back to the YouTube video just for that, I will say.
Yeah, you definitely will. Definitely.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for giving those answers. And what's our question for the next week?
Next week, we want you to complete the sentence. Due to the cesspool of social media, people now believe God is blank. What do you think, Calvin? What's a good answer?
Yeah, I mean, well, look right behind you is a bunch of rocks, right? So, I mean, I think that enough people equate like rocks and like the whole energy thing as being like, or like really just spiritualism. I guess you could lump it all into one thing. With the cesspool of like social media, I mean, the amount of people that I see just like a day posting about how like my Atlanta site is giving me like some manifestation of XXX. It's rocks.
I actually just had a person in the store today ask me how to charge their crystals. So
how often does that happen, Kelly?
It happens at least once a week during our regular season. It slows down, of course, in the wintertime when we slow down. But usually at least once a week. So
I got to calculate that because like you're one rock shop and it's like if that's happened to you once a week, okay, and how many rock shops are there in America, right? Yeah. And how often are they? I mean, like, there's got to be something we could figure out here. I don't know. Yeah, get one of those guys to call into the show,
I've tried. I really have. I really would love, because I talk to a lot of them over social media and I'm always continuously trying. And I think they're afraid to call in because they realize that when we get down into the physical laws and the chemistry behind this, nothing works. And I think they're afraid to call in and make themselves look foolish. I think maybe, I don't know. What's your answer to that question, though, Dan? What's people now believe God is what?
People think God's an alien. People think God's the president of the United States. I mean, people think a lot of things. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's always whatever people think God is. It's probably not good, right? I don't know. I don't know if there's a positive outcome there, but but I am looking forward to seeing what the commenters have to say because they always bring the best answers. So
when I first saw the question, my immediate answer was Taylor Swift, but
that's also true.
Yeah. So thanks for letting me come on and do it. I'll see you at the end of the show, Dan.
Thank you, Kelly. We'll talk
Bye,
to you
Kelly.
later, and have a great time being backup host. Thanks to Kelly for doing that. And of course, as always, thanking everybody that helps make this show happen, because you guys are amazing for that. Going back to Calvin, what have you been up to, man? What's happening? What's going on in Calvin's world?
Yeah, what's going on in my world? A lot of work, not enough time off. You know, I like to talk to people on TikTok nowadays. In the spare time that I have, I'll live stream on TikTok. Slowly reaching 100,000 followers over there. So that's
we need to talk about that. So TikTok seems to be the place to be. We've had a couple of guests on recently from the TikTok space, and it's, you know, like, it seems to be this way for a while. I'm too lazy, honestly, to go on and post on TikTok. So good for you for doing it, because it's like, it's a whole new thing, and I don't even know if I want to do it. But it's like, that seems to be like, if you want to be an activist in the space, that's the way to go, huh?
It's the convenience of it. You know, I can do it right on my phone, you know, with my phone and like my ring light, and I can go set up basically anywhere and talk for 10 minutes or, you know, 5 or 6 hours with people. Sometimes I'll just do it if I got to spare like 30 minutes in my day just to make an appearance and talk to a couple people. I do Ask an Atheist, so it's like street epistemology, like I said. So I take a big sign and go to a busy corner downtown, and I'll live stream that on TikTok, and I'll actually live stream the interactions that I have with people. So it's it's just that it's so easy. You know, I don't have like a big fancy computer to, like, you know, and let alone is able to like run really any programs. So just like being able to use my phone and talk to people really whenever I want, rather than having to set up a whole thing on like YouTube or OBS or something. It just is way easier and less less bang in my buck, or less money out of my wallet, you know?
Right. And so, see, and this is, I'm contradicting literally what I just said, because I just said, oh, I'm too lazy, I don't want to look into it. But honestly, if you do look into it, if you do the time versus YouTube, like, TikTok is way, way easier, right? I mean, like, you just make an account, you go on live, and like, that's it. YouTube, there's all kinds of things you got to learn to figure out what works best for it and stuff. And like, TikTok, in my experience, which is limited, just isn't as hard. And like, that's a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because the good thing is it makes it so accessible.
Crazy people are saying some crazy things on there.
Crazy people are saying some crazy things. Like, anybody has a platform in a world where everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame, right? The guy who's talking about, I don't know, white genocide in South Africa is getting the same platform as the guy that's saying, hey, we should worry about like climate change and stuff, right? It's like, it's kind of hard. And you know, we always talk about this kind of thing on this show. What do we do about that? I don't know. I keep talking to people. I guess that seems what you would think is best. Yeah, talking to people.
Yeah. I mean, how are we going to come to like a conclusion as to whether like this thing that we're talking about is true and matters unless we like actually hash it out and talk about it a little bit? And that's why I try to go for more like the conversational street epistemology kind of route when I'm talking to people. Sometimes, you know, I might start a stream that's going to be like, all right, we're going to hash it out, like it's one-on-one, we're doing like a formal debate thing, but most of the time that's not the case. You know, I'm looking to talk to people.
Right. And that's the thing with street epistemology too, which is hard for a platform like TikTok, is that the better conversations are the longer ones. And TikTok isn't, unless you're on lives, which is a little bit different for TikTok. You know, obviously the format for TikTok is like a minute or less most of the time for you know, and so how do you find that you balance that, trying to get people to follow you, even though you're having these longer form conversations that, you know, don't really go with the grain, but a lot of TikTok?
Yeah, I mean, well, the bottom line is, you know, I do whatever I have to do on TikTok. You know, I do let, you know, guests know like, hey, this is a TikTok live, you know, there's a bunch of people watching. I got a bunch of other people in the queue, like, so we're gonna go quick. Please don't be offended. Like, if I have to like drop you or something like that, move on to the next person. You know, I make sure to hash it out right in the beginning, just letting you know, like, I'm just a guy who has a phone, you know,
right.
And if we have to move on, we're gonna move on. But yeah, most of the time, like my content is 99% of the time just like posting 1 to 2 minute long videos, just responding to the plethora of questions, comments, and concerns that I get on my videos, DMs, and other things, other creators responding to me. William Lane Craig actually found me, so now he is talking about my video. So that's been an interesting ride.
Really? Tell me about that. I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. William Lane Craig is coming for me.
Yeah, I've talked a lot of shit about William Lane Craig. He's never acknowledged my existence, but he's probably got a lot of. He's got a lot of people that talk shit about him. So
yeah, it's interesting. So I love TikTok because it's kind of exploded like the content I was already making for like a couple of years beforehand, and something just caught on TikTok, and one day I just like woke up with like a video with 3 million views and like 50,000 followers basically overnight, and I was like, holy crap, I guess people actually like this stuff.
Yeah, like there seems to be a really good space for it. Like like I said, I feel like this has been like the direction for a while, but I really underestimated the amount of people that get interested and have been having a lot of success, particularly recently, with these sorts of conversations. Because you're not, we just talked with allegedly Ian, who also has these sorts of live conversations and stuff. That seems to be a big thing right now. On TikTok in general, not just with your guys' channel, but also the grifters do the same thing, right? I don't know, there's something about that, which is weird, because like we've kind of always been able to do that. And I don't know, but the TikTok is really sticking right now. I don't know.
It's really interesting. I mean, really, it's I've made a lot of friends with like other like Christian and other creators and opposite of beliefs that I am, just from them popping in my lives, me popping in theirs. We hash out every now and then. I have a couple of regular content creators I talk to that are Christian or Muslim or like it's super cool. So I mean, anyone who's like wants to try to get into like the activism thing of really any sort, not even just atheism, just like getting your voice heard. I mean, I think TikTok is like probably the best format to do that at the moment.
It's a question we get asked a lot, which is, what can I do to help? One is, hey, you can become a volunteer with the atheist community of Austin, but also you want to do your own thing. You don't want to be with the structure of a nonprofit. Hey, I get it. TikTok. I heard Logan Paul say this one time. He was like, yeah, I just had a phone and that's all I needed for success. And that's what got me here. It's like, I'm pretty sure Logan Paul had a little more than just a phone to get him success, but whatever. But like, it is true for the rest of us, right? Who like never necessarily had connections or didn't have all these things and can make content. It's great. It's awesome. It's really cool.
I'm super grateful for it. I've met some really awesome people, through it. And so,
and I hope some of those people call us tonight, and we are a call-in show, so I think we should start talking to some of our callers. What do you think?
Heck yeah. All right. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Before we do, folks, I have to thank the patron of the week. Every single week, I'm always giving a shout out to the folks on the Patreon. I want to thank everybody who donates. Everybody that donates is cool and awesome and amazing and has really good hair or doesn't have hair. I don't know, whatever. They're all cool, except we always give a shout out to one person every week. This week's patron of the week is going to be waiting for it. It is Skeptic Odie. Thank you so much, Skeptic Odie, and thank you to everybody that donates on the Patreon. You guys rock. And with that out of the way, let's get to our first caller. We have a couple people who want to talk to us. And gosh, there's some really, really good ones. It's hard to decide who to talk to first, honestly. But maybe we should do this one because it relates to our chat poll first. We can talk to Nero, who is calling from Tennessee, wants to talk to us about the law of attraction. We put in our chat poll, those who are listening in the audio format, is the law of attraction a real thing? Yes or no? And I think Nero wants to talk about that a little bit. Nero, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's going on?
Hey, Dan. Hey, Calvin. Longtime fan, atheist. Love the show. And great to see both y'all on here.
Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having us. What can we do for you?
Yeah. So the law of attraction, I've got a little bit of history with it. When I moved out of Christianity into eclectic paganism, just kind of like a mishmash of different things out of that, they have sort of their own version they call the threefold law, which for mostly tradition reasons is this idea that whatever you put out into the world comes back threefold to you, whether it be positive or negative.
Okay.
I never bought into like the idea that you can use magic to do this. There are a lot of groups that do. But like I've got my Book of Shadows right here from when I practiced. I've got Buckland's Book of Witchcraft, and I spent about 3 years practicing and taking intensive notes, and magic does not bring you any sort of results like that.
But so you did the science. You were like, hey, I'm going to do an experiment here and see what changes in the next 3 years of my life. And it did not change anything. That's crazy. Yeah. Wow.
No, I practiced absolutely devoutly for about 3 years with it. And not a thing came out of that. But what I did come across is that there is a group, or there is a selection of believers who treat the threefold law basically as an extension of positive psychology. So from that point of view, there very much is a lot of support for that sort of idea, that you keep a positive mindset, you do good acts in the world, and generally that brings back goodness to you, which I don't think when we look at how, I should say I did at the same time did 3 years of informal training in cognitive behavioral therapy. And there is very much support for this idea of making a positive mindset, turning that into positive action, and that brings positive results for you and your life.
I mean, yeah. I would kind of push back on that a little bit, because it's like, you know, how, so I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, are you saying that if you have a positive mindset about, you know, let's say maybe you have low finances, maybe you have a positive mindset that you're going to grow your wallet over the next, you know, X amount of time. Are you saying that generally that will come to happen? Like your wallet will grow if you kind of, I guess, manifest the idea that that's going to happen?
Well, no, it takes a lot more than just wanting it to be or wanting to have a good mindset about it. It's more about the people who generally go to this interpretation of the threefold law believe that magic is taking that positive mindset that you create and turning it into action, or turning it into an actual influence on the world. And magic is basically roughly the process of that influence affecting the world in a positive way, and then sort of coming back to you in, like, you know, you help people, they help you back. You help the environment is healthier for you, sort of deal.
But that isn't always the case, is it? I mean, what about the homeless guy on the street? You know, I'm sure he, you know, was truly doing his best to, you know, have a positive mindset in, you know, whatever case it might be. And, you know, it seems like he's kind of stuck, you know, in some, I mean, I could even say for myself that there's been times in my life where I've, you know, had a positive mindset through it. I'm going to get through it. And, you know, in some cases I didn't really get through it. So, what's, I guess, sure, it's a general, like maybe generally this will happen. It will, you know, come to manifest. That's kind of the word that I go to, because that's kind of the word that I tend to hear a lot of the time is you manifest, you know, what is, I guess not necessarily what you want to happen, but what you feel is best to happen. And that doesn't seem to always be the case. So I'm just not sure how you came to believe this. I mean, is there a reason why you do believe it other than just wanting it to be true?
It's maybe it's a little bit of like hopefulness held over. But I do think even when you don't receive like direct positive impact, there's still this idea in a lot of neo-paganism that you hear it from a lot of the modern spiritualists, that there's like interconnectedness between people. And in some degrees, whether you're talking about social situations or you're talking about just the well-being of humanity as a whole, there is at least some degree of whether or not you personally benefit, you as a part of humanity benefits, or humanity benefits as a part of you. And like I said, it's not a perfect thing. I just didn't know whether there'd be any pagans or Wiccans or anyone that wanted to come on and give that side of it. But I do think there's an interesting overlap in how some people will use it as this spiritual woo, literal magic sense, and then there's people who treat it as more just, like I said, an extension of positive psychology. I'm no expert on it. I'm no psychologist, and it's been about 4 years since I practiced, but I just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, it's interesting because Wiccan beliefs, and I mean, applying this to New Age stuff in general, some people ask, why don't we talk more about Wicca stuff? And it's like, well, it's really complicated. There's a lot of different ideas. And also, like, you talk about to 5 different Wiccans, you'll get 10 different ideas. I mean, like, it's such an individualized philosophy for some. There are some that literally believe you're affecting the forces of nature and that magic is a real force in the world. And there's some, like you said, who are sort of treating these systems as sort of metaphors for, you know, what could be described as a more, I don't want to say secular, but a sort of more grounded reality, which is, hey, if you think more positively about situations, your outcome will be more positive, right? Which is like, that's a bit more general. That's a bit more agreeable, right? To me, I'm the kind of person that's like, well, why do you need the magic? Why do you need these extra layers to the system? Why not just kind of boil it down to brass parts? But at the same time, I have to think, well, if I'm a therapist and a client comes to me and says, hey, I have this system of magic and it helps me get through my day and it's really great and it's not hurting anybody and it's doing my best for me, am I going to be the guy that's tearing that down and say, hey, actually, this is bullshit and you shouldn't think that way? I mean, maybe I would encourage the more agreeable parts, right? Yeah, if you think positively, your outlook's going to be better. Sure. But yeah, it's kind of difficult for me to talk about that, you know?
No, that's fair. I think the thing that might have appealed to me the most was during the cognitive behavioral therapy training, there's this talk of like a big part of it is dealing with addictions. And so we talk about rituals, which we talk about them in the sense of there are these things you do repeatedly over and over, and they reinforce behaviors or thoughts or emotions that you have connected to them. So like someone who has an alcohol problem might listen to a certain song and then before they go out to drink, like it's always the same song. It's always the same route to the bar, that there's this reinforcing mechanism behind it. And so I think the ritual or the formalism behind quote unquote magic in the practice, I think is meant, at least for the psychologically inclined pagans, to be like that reinforcement mechanism to help them build that positive mindset. Like I said, whether or not you actually receive direct positive benefits, it could easily be argued that having a better mindset in and of itself is a self-building benefit.
Sure.
But I don't want to drag that on too much, because I know the law of attraction holds a lot more weight in the other sense of being this mystical thing.
Well, I think that's why the law of attraction has its attraction, right? Like, why did The Secret become one of the most best-sold books of the century? It's because people struggle with their idea of self, their idea of like what they want, and this is a way to kind of change that. Instead of getting the things that you want, it's changing what you want, which is like, I mean, that in itself is a good thing. I won't deny the positive benefits there, but you know, there's also the other side of it, which is, hey, you're actually manipulating like the universe with just your brain, which, you know, I don't know that I could agree with.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't side on that, which all said, I've never met a single Wiccan who ever tried to use any of that for any negative means. So I think it's sort of like you said earlier, you're not hurting anybody. I'm not really going to push you to stop what you're doing.
Yeah. I will say I have had, and there's been people who have been on the show who have talked about their own Wiccan experiences, right? And some being from more, let's say, closed off groups, maybe a little bit, I don't want to say cults, but a little bit more high control that does exist. But also, most of my Wiccan callers, to be honest, are pretty chill. So, you know, that's what happens, right? It's hard. You can't really regulate these ideas. I think that's a big problem with it, right? If everybody's open to everything, what can you say is right and what can you say is wrong at that point. I don't know. There is something about that it makes it, again, just hard to talk about, because I don't want to take away somebody's good thing. If this has been a beneficial mindset to you, and it clearly has been, and you're right, I agree with you, a positive outlook is a great thing to have. It's hard for me to just be like, oh, you should, actually throw this all away. But I mean, you're clearly more skeptical about it. So I'm not really worried about that. Right. I'm more worried about the folks who are taking this so far that, oh, they didn't do their ritual today. They think that the universe isn't going to work out the way that they want it to, and, isn't going to do the thing. Right. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to drag you guys through this call much longer. I would definitely want to hear what some other people have to say. So I'm gonna let you go with that.
Perfect, Nero. Thanks so much for calling. What a great way to talk to us. Yeah. Thanks so much. Great topic of conversation, and great timing, by the way. Good. I love it when callers are like, yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time. That's great. It always feels bad to be like, caller, we got to keep going, because we're way past our time here. If you ever watch me, I don't usually do more than like 10 minutes at most. And it's always because I'm keeping track of time, not always because I'm not having a good conversation with folks, but that's kind of a thing too, right? Anyway,
it's just so considerate when they're like, oh, like we can just talk next time.
I love that.
Like, oh, you're awesome. Heck yeah, call back.
Yeah, call back. No, and how hard is that? I don't know. This is something that's I've never been able to solve, Calvin. I think we're of the same mind here. It makes it more difficult when we're talking about the least of the harm, like it's a harm reduction conversation, isn't it? What do you do with that?
No, I mean, like, literally, I get people every day that are like, why are you like talking about Christianity? Why aren't you talking about, paganism or the Talmud or something? And I'm like, because like pagans aren't influencing their beliefs on government laws and policies, honestly.
I'm not afraid of pagan nationalists, like upending our government, like, unlike
nice whataboutism, but
right. If that was the case, absolutely. I'd be shitting on paganism every week. Okay. It would happen for sure. I would do it. But like the pagans in my life are way too busy doing their own thing to even remotely give a shit. Okay. They don't care. So, it is what it is. But I mean, I'm still going to at least say at the end of the day, look, if you can't boil it down, or if there's something that doesn't match with the science, okay, or just what I can observe, what can be tested, I'm going to question it. I'm gonna pull that apart. I think we're both on the same page there.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're coming with claims about reality that you think that you're claiming are true, I want to know that true thing too. So like, I'm gonna break it down a little bit. I'll let you know whether I actually am convinced of that or not.
But Nero sounds like extremely learned individual, knows a lot about cognitive behavioral therapy, has been trained. I'd love to hear more about some of his experiences. Seems like he has a interesting perspective on that for next time. But for now, before we get to the next caller, I need to give some quick announcements here. And, normally I have it right in front of me and I'm ready to go. But, sometimes I start talking before I actually have things right in front of me, which isn't a good thing to do. But hey, if you want to listen to the show in audio only format, you can do that. We have an entire channel for that. Go to tiny.cc/AEN podcasts for all of the latest ACA shows. And another way you can support us is by sending super chats. If you haven't already, get them in and we will read as many as we can. And I almost forgot. I forgot, Calvin, the challenge today. I didn't say it at the beginning. Here's the thing. I have a little remote control. It's not remote control, really. It's a little switch for my table here. Okay, moves me up and down. I will keep moving this camera down. I'll push it for like a second for every super chat that we get until I'm like completely off screen. Okay, I will do that.
Let's get Dan all the way off the screen. I want to see just his forehead.
Just my forehead on screen today will be great, and I'll do that for every super chat we get. I will move the camera just a little bit and see how far we go. So this is the neutral position. So if you haven't donated or have been looking for an excuse to, today's your day. Okay. So let's make it happen. Another thing I have to talk about, again, I should have this stuff in front of me, is if you've ever said to yourself, I really like the stuff that the ACA makes and I want to get it all the time, you can do that. We have 2 24-hour live streams. If you like Kelly, he's usually on there as well, moderating, talking to some people. One of them is the Atheist Experience TV, of course, which is a stream of the Atheist Experience, all the clips and specials from the 26 seasons of the show, and also Heathen TV, where we've got Talk Heathen clips and specials and things like that. So if you want to listen to some of your favorite hosts or discover some hosts you never heard of, or just seen some crazy calls, you can do that by going to tiny.cc/AXPTV and tiny.cc/HeathenTV to get that. And last but not least, have to thank the awesome, amazing crew that help make this show happen every week. Let's go to that crew cam. There they are, rocking their stuff. Thank you, crew. See, we're not getting too rowdy this week. Okay, it's I think it's secular rarity that really brought that energy last week. So again, great episode though. You guys should watch it if you haven't already. Anyway, Calvin, this is a call-in show, so let's get back to our calls, huh?
Do it. Heck yeah.
Let's talk to Jupiter 2, who wants to talk to us. Jupiter 2, who has been waiting on the line. Jupiter 2 from Canada, you are live on Truth Wanted.
Again.
What's happening, Jupiter 2?
Well, I called last week and you invited me to look at those pictures this week because
I did, and guess what? We're ready this time because we got those pictures ready to go on screen. So you called and said that you have pictures which you think is good evidence of aliens on other planets. And let's get this started here. Actually, we got a $2 donation from Kelly who wants to see me do this. So, okay, I'm going to move the camera down just a little bit. All right, that's all you get. And it'll just keep going as far. Oh, my God, there it goes again. All right, another $2 from Isaiah. All right. There we go. It's moving. It's coming down. All right. So it's happening. Anyway, sorry, Jupiter 2. Crew, if we could, let's get one of these pictures on screen. Sorry, audio listeners. I'll try to describe what we're seeing here. But actually, Jupiter 2, you tell me what we're seeing. We have a formation. I think this is Mars that this is from.
There's a picture I sent. Remember the show with Jim Burrows? I called in and I sent a bunch of pictures.
Yes.
And this is one of the pictures. And you said you saw the head. What I think it is, it's a little. I think I sent you two pictures. One is on Earth. One I think could be it might be from Roswell, but I'm not saying that for sure. But the first one is from Mars. Yeah, it's a little guy, and what you see is like it's right in the center. It's right dead center. I see the little guy's head, and it looks on his head it looks like something like a box, but I think it's a mask. And I think he's leaning up against some sort of contraption. If you look at it really closely with a magnifying glass, you can see that there's a little thing around his neck, and it attaches to his mouth, and there's like a plate up against his chest. And I think it's some device that goes into the soil.
Okay, crew, we need to get the other picture. This is we got two pictures. This is the other one. I think that's the one he thinks is from Roswell. The other one is this one from Mars here. If we could get that back on the screen. Okay, there we go.
I'm just curious. So I guess first of all, what is the source of this picture that is currently on the screen? Like where did you get this picture from?
I think it's probably from a YouTube channel, huh?
Yeah. The one with the Roswell.
Which one, if you don't mind me asking? Do you remember?
The Mars one.
The first one is the Mars one comes from a NASA picture. I could send a link to it. It is from a website, someone else looking at it, but it has a source. It's an actual NASA picture from Mars.
So the way that you look at this photo, do you look at it digitally, like on a computer whenever you look at it?
Just on my video screen, yeah.
Okay, so how do you use a magnifying glass on a computer screen to look closer at a photo?
Yeah, you go right up to the screen, you bring the magnifying glass, you don't put it too close, you put it close enough that you don't distort the picture, but you magnify the picture. That's like I told Dan before, and I tried to tell Jim Burrows. If you go back to the 1960s and you go to the Cuban Missile Crisis, when they took high aerial pictures because they couldn't take low flights, let's say, get a plane shot out of the sky. They took very high aerial pictures, and then they developed those pictures, and then they put them on these big screens, and they put huge magnifying glasses on top of them to look at the missiles, to see those missiles in the Cuban missile sites, because they had to take the picture from so far away. And this is the same thing. In
1962, man, that's what they did. But like, we're in 2025. Okay. We don't have to put magnifying glasses up the pictures. I just don't think that's the best method for looking at stuff, right? Like,
no, Dan, good God, you guys, this is the same thing we had with Jim Burrows last time. You guys keep fixing on this. It's just to magnify.
It's really important.
Images.
I think it's really important, Jupiter. I mean, I think it's really important to determine like how exactly you're examining this thing. We're just asking you like how, like, you know, what method you were using to, and you said you used a magnifying glass on a computer screen, and you know, we're informing you that that's not going to get you anything. You're just going to be zooming in on, you know, colored pixels on your screen. It's not going to enhance anything.
If you don't go
That's what we're explaining.
If you go too close, you'll do that. Sure. If you go too close, you'll do that. Just give it please, not maybe right this second, but I'm sure Kelly has got some good quality magnifying glasses. Not now, but sometimes.
You are so right. I bet Kelly does have some real. Kelly, can you go find your best magnifying glass, please, so we can look at it yourself, and maybe we can make a determination here. But look, I'm just saying, right? I don't even need to look at the magnifying glass to see. There's like this rock has like kind of a weird shape to it. There's definitely some weird stuff going on, but you know, I think we've been through this before. Like, just like when you get stuff from Google Earth, like there's all kinds of artifacting that happens when these images gets uploaded, and without knowing like the true source of it, that also makes it kind of murky. I also just don't think it's like an alien. I mean, I think it's at best a weird shaped rock, but that thing doesn't look like it's moving. That thing doesn't look like it has legs or limbs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the photo right here, and I mean, it literally looks like a rock. I mean, I'm not seeing how you're getting like a necklace or a mask or feet, or like I'm legitimately not seeing what you're seeing.
Because you got to look at it closely, like I said, with the magnifying glass.
I look real close here.
The image.
Okay. I don't think we're getting. Can we maybe move on to the next photo? Maybe
zoom, enhance, computer, zoom, enhance, please. You start doing the CIA thing. I mean, like.
Before we move on.
Okay.
Before we move on, can I just say this? Mars.
Yeah.
If you look up NASA says there's water in the soil of Mars. Just look that up. NASA has said that there's water in the soil of Mars. That's what these little guys are doing. They're getting water out of the soil, maybe.
I wouldn't necessarily doubt it. I feel like it's in the realm of possibilities, but saying that there's aliens walking around on Mars is another thing.
Yeah, there's an old saying, where there's water, there's life. Mars had a different climate eons ago, whatever. Our whole solar system was different.
Yes. And now it's not hospitable for life. That's what changed. Like it's actually so super not good for life. Like one of the reasons why we can land a probe on there is because it's not going to burn up in its atmosphere, because it's thinner than the Earth's. Like there's not even a habitable zone for life anywhere. But I mean, you can have water, you can have soil, but that doesn't mean that life is going to be there.
Exactly.
No, I'm saying millions of years ago, our solar system, the planet was a different planet configuration. Yes. It's not always the same.
It was, but we're talking about you're saying there's aliens now. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like it's not habitable for aliens now. At least of that size.
Soil it is. You don't. Maybe under the soil it is. You don't know how it could be habitable inside the soil.
That guy's not in the soil.
You know, like that maybe's doing a lot of heavy lifting here. It's like maybe, but like we don't know.
I know we don't know. I'm just saying that, but that's a possibility that we don't know what the conditions are like under the soil. And maybe they just come up because, as we're saying, it's not a very good for life. It's not, you can't habitual for life, whatever. I'm sorry, I'm not saying the word, but habitable for life. I understand the surface of it, but I think maybe they can just stay for short periods of time. But anyways, I'm just trying to say that millions of years ago, maybe there was. My understanding that they believe Mars did have a tropical type planet, and I'm just saying life could have developed, and then retreated when the climate changes and they go underground.
And when we find evidence of that, that'll be really interesting to hear. But like, I just, you know.
Well, I think this picture is one of many pictures that show that evidence.
Yeah, I think it's a rock, man. I don't know. We've had this conversation before. It's like it's just we can't be. We got to do better than screenshots from YouTube videos. You know, it's just.
Well, just one time, just try, give it a look with a magnifying glass. Just try it.
Actually, I think Kelly did get out. Is Kelly still there? Kelly, can you hear me? Because he got up from his chair. Okay, Kelly has a Okay, please, get that man on screen. Look at this magnifying. I guarantee you, this is bigger than the magnifying glass you got at home, Jupiter 2. Kelly's got a big ass magnifying glass because he looks to look at rocks.
That picture for Kelly right now.
That is, yeah, give him the full up, please. Get that puppy on screen. My God, I mean that's huge. Kelly is looking at it. Yeah, let's get the picture. There we go. Okay. What are we seeing, Kelly? I think he's muted right now, or doesn't have his headphones in. You can't hear us.
Oh, I'm not seeing what he's seeing there. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm just not seeing an alien. I just don't see it. I just don't. I'm sorry. I am seeing what appears to be a face. But like everything else that he's describing in the photo, I think he's just filling in with his imagination. I'm not sure that I see that.
Yeah, I don't see any link. I could see a little face. I'm with you there. Yeah, everything else, though, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and then look down. Then look down.
Look down?
Yeah, look down. Like where the shoulders might be.
All right, Kelly, look down. Look at those shoulders. Let's see.
There's like a collar thing around him.
He's looking.
I didn't really want to do. I really.
Yeah, I just.
Joe, you told us look at it with the magnifying glass. We got you the magnifying glass, man. I don't know. Like, what else do you want from us? You want a bigger magnifying glass at this hour?
No, I can move on if you want.
Okay, all right. Let's look at the other picture very quickly because you did send another one, but want to make sure we have time for other callers and stuff too. So we got this other one, and I got to be honest. This is even more ridiculous, Jupiter 2. It's a picture of a guy holding up another picture. What are we supposed to do with that?
Yeah, and not to mention the picture in question, that is like a dummy. Like that is a fake.
That looks like from the Roswell Museum in New Mexico, which I've been to, by the way.
No, I think it's a lot better than that. I think it's different.
What's the source for this photo?
I don't know.
Like, where did you get this one from?
You don't know?
Are you an anomaly channel? Sorry, I can't say it. Like a UFO channel. No,
Where did the guy get it from in the video?
Pardon?
Where did the guy get it from in the video? That's what matters.
I don't know. I'm just.
So why do you believe that? Why did you just believe that? Like you just are you saying that you just saw this photo and were like, hell yeah, that's an alien, dude, and like that's it, or like?
No, I'm just saying No, I'm just saying it's something to think about. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I think it could be real. I'd like to get like last week.
Why? We're not getting to the why.
Yeah, we can't have this. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Attitude for everything, right?
Maybe like it's pixies. Like I don't know, dude. Like I gotta have evidence for these things.
Yeah, well, how can we have evidence if the aliens and the government both want to keep it secret?
Well, you're showing us pictures from NASA. I mean,
yeah,
they gotta, so and something's getting out. I mean, we don't have any private space agencies that are showing us pictures of aliens, but we are getting it from NASA. I think that's kind of weird, No,
I don't think so.
Where's the SpaceX pictures? Where are those coming from? I don't know, Jupiter 2. What do you want me to do with this? I mean, you are not a dumb man. I have spoken to you. You have a capacity for better thought than this. This is like low. This is low evidence. We can't just be fucking random screenshots from people. And like, I don't know where this is from, but a guy in a video held up a picture of an alien dummy. I mean, this is silly, right?
Well, no, you don't know that that's a dummy. You don't know that that's a dummy. I'm just saying, the first one I stand by, I think, is a little alien on Mars. But the second picture, I'm just bringing that up just to show what's out there.
I'm saying you need to have better standards for yourself. Seriously, better epistemic standards. You sent me any pictures in the world, and you sent me a picture of a guy holding up another picture that you don't even know where it's from.
Yeah, like even me as like someone who used to believe in a lot of the same stuff, like I feel like at the point that I was where you are, I think that I had better evidence than you're claiming to have.
I'm not saying this is the best evidence. I'm just showing that as a picture. I'm not.
Why would you not give me the best? Why? Why would you settle for anything less than the best with me? Seriously, why? How many conversations have we had? Why would you not give me the best?
That's what I want.
A good picture.
It's not even a good picture, man. It's a screenshot of a YouTube video of a guy holding up a photo. I cannot stress this enough. That is the lowest quality. You might as well mail it to me and print it from your computer. Like we're talking about so many levels of artifacting, so many levels of separation from the source. Like it's not even worth considering, honestly.
If it's fake, it's real good.
I couldn't hear you there. But listen, we're running out of time for this call, and I'm a little disappointed.
I'm sorry.
I would like to see better evidence. If you really do have better stuff, please send me that.
Next time.
Okay, but hey, I'm gonna have a rule though. No more screenshots from YouTube videos. Okay, I want original sources for images, please. If we're gonna talk about this stuff, because we can't be doing that. We cannot be doing that.
Your sources, please, because we're gonna ask like where you got that stuff from.
Well, like there's a NASA source for the Mars picture. There's a NASA source for that.
I know, but it's not a screenshot from a YouTube video. Like there's a better way to get that, right? There's a better way to source that. Anyway, we're gonna let you go, and we'll talk to you next time, Jupiter 2. I appreciate you calling in as usual, and I do appreciate Jupiter 2 calling in. Don't get me wrong. But I am disappointed because, we got another picture from a rock from Mars and a guy holding up a photo. Like, come on.
Photo of a guy holding a photo of a supposed alien from outer space. Yes.
Next time, and someone's going to screenshot this YouTube video. So it's going to be a screenshot of a screenshot. Like, it's screenshots all the way down. I don't know.
It's like Inception, like Alienception.
Yeah, I'm exasperated. I know I've talked to Jupiter 2 before. I think that this is not good. This is just not good. I don't think this is reasonable. I don't think it's reasonable for anybody to take that seriously. Right.
I wish I could say that I thought, he was a troll, but I mean, people actually do believe that stuff. And I was one of those guys. I was believing that type of stuff, once upon a time too. So, I mean, it's just like those types of beliefs, those ones are concerning. And
I don't want to be accused of being not open-minded. Okay. Like Jupiter 2, if I came to you and I showed you a screenshot of a guy holding up a picture of a fairy, would you not have questions at that point? Right. Like, would you not maybe think there's something else happening? I mean, we have to, if we're going to be open, okay, let's be open to good standards of evidence. How about that? Let's be open to, figuring out better ways to know things. I don't know, just my take. But anyway, that was something, Calvin. I don't know.
That was interesting.
That was certainly something. Let's go ahead and move on, though. I want to talk to Ulysses. Correct me if I'm not saying your name correctly. Ulysses calling from Florida. You are live on Truth Wanted. What is going on?
Oh, hey, yeah, I'm so glad to be on the show. I've been meaning to call a long time, and I finally gathered up the courage to make the call. Well, speaking of the law of attraction, I tried manifesting that my call will be the first call, and it didn't work. So that's that.
I wanted to take your call earlier. It was a good call, but it didn't happen. And you know what? There's some evidence for you that maybe it's not working out, but that's okay. You're here now with us, Ulysses. So.
All right. Okay. So glad. And I started at the beginning of the show when you were talking about God is blank. I would like to fill in the blank by Jim Morrison.
God is Jim Morrison? Okay. That's a take.
That's a take.
Yeah. I guess I like the Doors as much as anybody else. I wouldn't call him God, though. That's, you know.
Well,
but I guess
definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, that's not what you wanted to call in about, right? What did you want to talk to us about?
Okay, about Noah's flood, and I posed this question to the elders because when okay, I'm using a Bluetooth. I'm gonna try and go on the speakerphone because.
Don't go on speakerphone.
Yeah, no speakerphone.
Not a good idea. We do not recommend it. We would rather talk to you this way. We can hear you just fine right now.
Oh, how about now?
Again, we don't recommend the speakerphone option if you can help it. Okay.
Okay. Okay. It's the phone now.
Yeah, that's better. Awesome. Okay, so Noah's flood. You want to talk to us about Noah's flood, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had this question to my elders because, you know, the thing about the animals not eating each other and how is it possible that they can be in the ark for a year?
Right.
And the problem of feeding them
Mm-hmm.
and, again, not eating each other and getting rid of the garbage. Now,
Many
this
problems.
is solved. This was their answer to me, and I found it enough. So I want to run it by you. Here's how it goes.
Okay.
God, in his immense power, he put the animals in hibernation, so there's no need for food, no need for waste, no need for water or anything. So basically, the animals were 1 year in a state of catharsis or hibernation, whatever. And so at the end, when the ark doors were open, they just woke up.
Okay. Why should we believe that?
Yeah, is that a theory you just came up with, or do you have like something to convince us with for that?
No, well, basically that's the logical end of the thought, because if they're going to be in a confined space for so long and given the problems of feeding and everything else, the logical reasoning would be for them to be asleep throughout the whole thing, just like bears are asleep for like 2 months out of a year or something.
I hear what you're saying, but I think we're looking at this backwards, because we're starting with the premise that, oh, this thing happened. How did this thing happen, though? But we're starting with the premise that we should believe the thing happened is true, and we're figuring out the details. I want to know, why should I believe the thing is true? Why should I even believe that a guy got a bunch of animals on an ark and drifted on water for 40 days in the first place?
Wow. Well, this theory is what was presented to me when I started questioning the whole flood thing, and it made perfect sense. I mean, just everybody asleep, end of the deal.
Okay.
Well, sure, but it's like, is it really the most logical answer? I mean, do you think it's really logical for, like animals to like sleep for that long? Or, I'm failing to like see the logic behind it. Like, the fact is that you kind of made up a theory or heard of a theory to explain it away. But I don't think you really stop to think about how logical, or in like our case, illogical that actually is.
Well, I had a rebuttal when the elders told me this. I told them that, it's not in the Bible. It just says they were there, and it says nothing about hibernation or none of the sort. And they told me that every little thing cannot be explained in the Bible, because it would take like 100 books to explain everything. So God left it kind of to be interpreted.
So then why would you believe it? Like, if it can't be like presented as truth to me, I just don't believe it, you know? So like, if you're given all like these claims about like Noah's flood or like the Tower of Babel or the resurrection, whatever it may be, I just don't believe those things until I have the evidence to believe it. But you are taking the route of like a conspiracy type of route, where you are creating stories and conclusions to make the actual claim itself work. You're adding things in later to make it work before even realizing that this thing just can't work to begin with.
Yeah. So how about this? Let me put it to you this way too, Ulysses, to add on to what Calvin's saying. You kind of said, okay, well, here's the story. How did it work? Well, I think it worked by, all these animals hibernating. How do I think this story worked? Well, I think it didn't work, right? I don't think there's anything to it. I think somebody made it up. Am I being logical or illogical with that, right? Because if I'm being illogical with that, I want to know, wait, is it actually more reasonable to believe this story is true, or is it not as reasonable? Let's start with that.
Wow. Well, I think this is the last straw. I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and I was hanging by a thread, and this was the thread. I'm gonna do some hard thinking, but I think this is it. You guys put a twist in this that it's overturned everything that I had in mind.
Yeah, wow. Honestly, like I think we're both like super glad that you called in. You're willing to acknowledge that hey, maybe what I put forth isn't as logical as it sounds. So I'm going to go back and look at some things again. So like I commend you for doing that, because that's like that's awesome. Like I'm glad that you're doing that, and I'm just glad that you called in today to just talk about that, because I mean that's the only way we can figure out whether these things are true or not. Is just talking about it. So yeah,
absolutely.
I commend you.
Ulysses, you said something at the very beginning of this. You said, I had to get the courage to call the show. Let me ask you something. What were you afraid of?
Well, I was born into religion, and the stuff really gets into you. I was, up to a few years ago, I was so into it that I couldn't see past the Bible, and everything else was fake. Only the Bible is true, and only my religion is true. And I started, because I get the elders and people from the congregation, they are opposed to people watching YouTube and whatnot. And I'm like, well, what's the problem? But if this is the truth, what's the problem with me looking at other things? And just because they said I shouldn't, I did. And I was watching the Atheist Experience, and I didn't know a thing about what do you call the tools for interpreting reality?
You mean like science, like philosophy?
Yeah, like science. Yeah.
Oh man, there's a word. It just vanished.
It's okay.
Epistemology. Okay, epistemology.
Okay, sure.
I knew nothing about it. And once I got to the core of it and how it works, and I'm like, wow, maybe there's a whole lot more to the world. And again, I did the thing that they told me not to do, and it did indeed open my eyes. And there was a couple of things that I was hanging on to that kind of made sense, and I wanted them to make sense. And but all the questions that I had have already been answered. Even though I wasn't able to get into the Atheist Experience show, I wanted to talk to Matt Dillahunty so bad, but I never could. I couldn't get through, or didn't have the courage, because first of all, I was afraid of everything being shattered, because I saw how he dismantled everything.
Right. And Matt's a little scary, and that makes sense. I would see people being afraid to call Matt. But I'll tell you this.
This is a good starter show.
This is a better starter show. And you know what? I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you that you found the courage. And that does take courage. That is hugely tremendous for you to do that. Reach out of your comfort zone and talk to people that you've been told your whole life you're not supposed to talk to. And you're figuring some stuff out. And you know what? I applaud you for that. You're everything that we could hope for in what we do on this show, seriously. And I really hope and wish for the best for you. Is there anything else you want to talk to us about right now while you have the opportunity?
Thanks. No, well, religion is so comforting, and I thought I was happy for many, many years. But at this point in my life, I'm getting old, and I really want to know the truth. I mean, even if it hurts, even if there's nothing after this, I just want to live and die with the truth. The Bible says the truth shall set you free, and I believe that is so real. I mean, I want to know the truth, and I want to know, again, citing Matt, as many true things as possible and the least amount of untrue things as possible. So yeah, I've always been kind of a rebel, and so even if it hurts, I just want to know the truth and just die happy, even if there's nothing afterwards.
And you know what, Ulysses? I think if God is just, I think he would recognize that, right? If there is a God, I think he would encourage that. If he really loved and cared about his creation, right? Wouldn't they want what's best for them and to know what's true and what's not true, right? So even if there is a God, I do think that you're doing the right thing here by trying to figure out what's real and what's not. Of course, I don't believe there's a God. And if you were to ask me, I would say, I don't think you should believe in one either. But that's up to you to decide on that, right? And it sounds like you've been doing a lot of hard thinking for yourself. I would love to check back with you sometime. Can you call back again when you can?
Please.
I would love to hear from you,
Oh, sure.
see where you're at in your journey.
I actually saved the number on my phone, and one pivot point, one turning point. About a year ago, I read about Marcus Aurelius when he said, I mean, not verbatim, but sort of the idea is that, like, you should not believe or venerate any gods. Just be just and be the best you can, because if when you die, it turns out that the gods are real and they're just, you're going to be rewarded. And if it turns out that when the gods are bad, there was no point in believing them in the first place. And I was like, oh my God, this is like so logical and so like in your face.
Right. It's liberating, isn't it? It's really powerful.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, it sounds like it's really done something for you there. Again, I can't stress enough how happy it is that you called me and could tell me about your experiences. Thank you for that. And I really, truly wish you. The crew is reminding me to let you know of another resource that you may have heard of. It's called Recovering from Religion, and we've partnered with this organization quite a bit. Yeah. Okay, great. So you've heard of them. They've got some great resources on their website if you haven't checked that out already, and also have folks that you can talk to that isn't in a call-in show setting if you need it, as well as lots of reading material if you're into that kind of stuff. For now, I do got to let you go because we got other callers that want to talk to us, but I would, again, love to hear back from you later down the line, wherever that is, next week, a month from now, whatever, see where you're at. And you're always welcome to call this show about that. So happy to hear from you.
I will, and this was a good step. I've heard about recovering from religion. I just never bothered to look into it. But yeah, because right now I'm in a road that there's no return from. I mean, half of my family doesn't speak to me. I don't know if you know how Jehovah's Witnesses work.
Yes.
So
absolutely,
I've been estranged from the family. It's horrible. But again, I got to do what I got to do, and I want to know the truth, whatever that leads me, and so be it. I'll call back sometime. I just got to do some hard thinking and rearranging here.
Absolutely, Ulysses. Absolutely. Sure. Thank you so much again for choosing to spend your time with us this evening. We really appreciate it. And I wish you well. Have a great weekend. And again, would love to hear back from you sometime. Wow. Like
an ideal caller. Like that was a great call there.
Makes me almost teary-eyed. It really does. Guy lives his whole life in the Jehovah's Witnesses, first of all, one of the most controlling sects of Christianity, right? Like, does not encourage a college education, does not encourage you looking at outside resources or like talking to people of other faiths unless you're evangelizing yourself, right? Exactly. To escape from that, I can't imagine. You know? It's a lifetime of programming, in a way.
It's very powerful. You know, I'm very I'm happy that, you know, Ulysses is, you know, starting to kind of branch out and think about things a little bit more and you know, rebel a little bit against that. So super proud of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, if you are listening to this and you want to talk to us, again, I'm not Matt Dillhunt you, okay? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's going to be okay, all right? We will always have a space for those who are trying to branch out on their horizons a little bit, right? Trying to figure out what's up.
Absolutely.
Really great stuff. Wow. Amazing. Something I didn't get to was we did get another super chat. And looking at the notes here, it is from Nero, actually, who gave $5 and said, Insight seismology data has recently brought up the possibility of mid-crust water in fissures about 10 to 20 kilometers below the Martian surface. Okay, so that's interesting. And I think, like, I don't contest water on Mars.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
It's the life part. It's, you know, kind of a different thing. But anyway, let's get. Was it going up or down? Oh, I was bringing this thing up. All right, another one coming down just a little bit, just a little bit more.
Hard to lose
again. More donations, and I'll keep going down, folks. Okay, make me feel like the short guy, doing this. All right, let's get to another caller. We've got some other folks who want to talk to us. We got Daisy, who is calling from Washington, who wants to talk to us. Daisy, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's going on?
Oh my God. Hey, what up? This is Daisy. Hey, Dan and Calvin. I'll be super quick. I want you to get to other callers.
Hey, you just got here. Relax. I know you've been in the queue for like 40 minutes
Take
now.
Your shoes off. Stay a while.
Yeah, just stay a minute. You're good.
Oh, okay. Am I good? Really?
You are absolutely good, Daisy. 100%.
Okay.
Talk to me. What you got?
I'll get right into it. Do you think there's other people with other religions, right? And they are going like door to door to sort of evangelize and that kind of thing. Do you think that atheists should be doing that kind of thing? Or like, because I've heard a lot of atheists that say like I hate it when people try to push their religion on me and that kind of thing. But given that there are harms that are associated with religious belief that are harming people like myself in very tangible ways, do you think that we should be more do more outreach in terms of like actually promoting atheism as a way of as a belief system, not as a non-belief stance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that atheists should be going door to door and, you know, passing out flyers about why people should be atheist and why atheism is superior, whatever it may be. I don't think that we should be doing that. No. What I am an advocate for is making ourselves known, making ourselves, you know, be noticed necessarily, I guess you could say. Like we've talked about multiple times, you know, we do the street epistemology stuff. I take a sign and I'm there. I'm not approaching onto someone's property and forcing, you know, what I don't believe on them. I'm standing in public, right down the street from them, if they happen to be out and about and see that I'm there, just literally minding my own business, available for the conversation, that's different. I mean, I think it's more so, instead of us enforcing what we do or don't believe, going door to door like Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever, I think it's more beneficial to just be available for people who have questions, comments, concerns, that, you know, not making us all look like firebrand atheists that are going to like yell at them and argue with them, just being like, hey, I don't really believe in the same thing as you, but, you know, we can talk about that if you want, and just kind of leave it at that, you know, set the example, I guess you could say.
Yeah. You probably know about, go ahead, Daisy.
But being firebrand is not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like ways that the individual atheist, and I know there's lots of different types of atheists, and they all have different ideologies, all that. But actually, what the best way it is for an individual that, say, doesn't have a group that they are like in Austin, there's like a bunch of this channel has been going on, and they have the library and all this kind of stuff. But over here in Washington, like, I can't find any sort of atheist community in my specific area. You know, I live across the pond from Seattle, so like, there's no like big atheist community here. But what
they got to make one.
Check this out. Calvin, how many followers do you have on TikTok right now?
I have just shy of 100K.
Okay. How many people did you have to know? How many atheists did you have to know to get that?
Literally 0.
Yeah, that's right. So activism, you don't need groups of people to do it at all. Absolutely. Right. Calvin has a phone and a dream. That's it. That's what he's doing. Okay. like, you know, I get it. Right. Support. Absolutely. Encouragement. Yes. Right. We need that. And if you can find an online community to help you with that, that's great as well. But for activism, you don't necessarily need it. Right. You really don't. Right. We used to have to do this show in the building, in the studio. I'm doing this from my home office right now. Right. It's connecting to the server that's at our building, but I could have been streaming this from my computer. Right. The technology and stuff is out there. We don't have to go door to door. That's the thing. We can make an impact online just doing stuff. And people have been doing that. We're fighting an uphill battle. Okay, most people do not like atheists. You probably know there's a Pew Research study that talks about the warmness of people. On average, the average American views atheists the same way they do Muslims. Okay, and you know how the average American views Muslims. Okay, it's not exactly positive for a lot of people. At least they wouldn't publicly admit it, right? So it's like, you know, I'm not going to engage in the stereotype of going door to door. I don't think that's going to help. If anything, that's going to make it worse. Online, yeah, people are annoying, but it makes a difference. And our last callers just showed us that, right? So in terms of activism, you want pound for pound, you can do more stuff online than you can do door to door. You really can.
And with there not being a community that you think is around you, I can almost guarantee that there is, to be honest. Like, cause I was the same thing. Like, I didn't think there was really any like atheist communities here in like Southeast Michigan by Detroit, you know? And then I came to find one, Michigan Atheists and the Secular Alliance of Michigan. They're both in Southeast Michigan. So now I, you know, hang out with them and, you know, fellow like-minded people. If there really is not a group around you, I guess you need to make one. You know, like I started a Facebook group when I couldn't find, Sam or the Michigan Atheists. I started my own Facebook group for atheists, and, you know, no one joined it, but I made it and I tried, you know. The point is just, you know, just know that, you know, you're not alone. There are like-minded people around you. You might just have to do a little bit of legwork to find those people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I absolutely know that there are atheists here. But one thing that I wanted to bring up, and I'll let you go real quick, but is that Bremerton, Washington, is the place where the Supreme Court case was. I don't know if you remember about the case in the Supreme Court about the coach who was going on to like the school football field and doing prayer in the public school. That's where I am. And so I feel like there's like an opportunity there, like that. There could be a pushback in the place where that happened, even though the Supreme Court already ruled yes on it, like that it can happen. what would you say in terms of like creating a group? Like what would be the most effective way that I could do that? Do you think?
Well, in terms of that, well, for legal stuff, there is an organization, and actually, I think they helped at least write an opinion for that case, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Freedom from Religion Foundation does that, and in fact, have participated in landmark cases for this kind of expression. And I've talked with them. I've been at conferences with them. They're always looking for help when they can. So I'm sure that if you went online and you said, hey, I want to be able to volunteer, they can point you into how you can best help them. They're one of the big, and we've had them on our programs as well. They're one of the only atheist organizations out there that are approaching things from a legal standpoint, which is incredibly important, as you mentioned. As people's rights are being taken away every single day, they're going to make sure that they're going to have to fight for that rather than step all over us, right? So there's definitely orgs like them out there for sure.
Okay, and final question: what do you think about like FSM or like the Satanic Church? Do you think that those are avenues in which people who are kind of like nominally atheist but do these sort of like mockery kind of religions in order to get legislation passed? Do you think that that's an effective means of getting things through?
What do you think, Calvin?
I mean, I don't know if it's so. I think that the pushback is good. I think that we shouldn't just like let Christians, or whoever maybe, whatever religious ideology might be, walk all over not even just atheists, but just believers or non-believers of that particular belief system. All pushback is good. Muslims push back, and atheists push back, because we're all here in this country and we all have a say in the country. So I think that equally there should be equal pushback from all perspectives.
Yeah, there's Oh, go ahead, Daisy.
Go for it. No, go for it.
Just say there's different parts of there's like the temple, the Satanic Temple, and the Church of Satan are two different things, right? And like one of them is the one that does the more like political organizing, as you're talking about, right? So, I think like those are the ones that are doing that kind of work, and it definitely has shown to have its value in local communities in particular. And the other one I think is more for, like your own individual expression of, satanic values and stuff, which has its own values there for sure. And I'm sure they do activism stuff, but it's one is particularly known for doing that. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel pretty mixed about it. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, they're doing great stuff. Sometimes it's like, all right, we're just kind of perpetuating some stuff here that I don't know if is actually helping our case, but I can't deny that they've done work, so that's really up to you. Yeah. I don't know.
But what about the flying spaghetti monster people?
I mean, that's kind of the silly parts of the atheist community. That's just kind of people just kind of poking fun. I think
there are a known open troll religion. Like I literally have planned, like I'm going to get my flying spaghetti monster like diploma and like be a member of it. You just have to pay like $50 on their website, and you get a plaque. So it's not by any means like a real.
There was a march. Real quick, there was a actual march of the flying spaghetti monster in Russia, and the Catholics actually beat them down and like made a huge stink of things. Against the march of the.
I mean, people don't like it. I'm not saying that it hasn't actually affected real life things. I genuinely think people considering the flying spaghetti monster has helped some people deconstruct. I'm fully with you there, but I'm interested in broad strategies, right? I'm interested in trying to get as many people as possible, harm reduction sort of thing. In my experience, the flying spaghetti monster isn't the most effective for most people. So I'm going to try and do what's most effective for most people. That's not how you have to do it. You figure out that path for yourself, but I mean, it's an option.
Well, I think the most effective way is just to explain that to people that there's no please present the evidence that you have that a God exists. And then if their answer is faith, well, then that's not a very good method of like coming to what you believe in.
But see, that's your opinion, though. That's your opinion. That's the problem, isn't it? We have to convince people that our opinions are meaningful on stuff? What if they don't view science as a reliable way of knowing things? What if they don't view philosophy as a reliable way of knowing things? What if they view faith as something? You see what? But look, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that they're wrong. But how are you convincing them that they're wrong? That's what you got to think about. It's not enough that you're right about it. You have to be convincing, right?
Yeah, persuasion.
Persuasion. Have you ever dropped your worldview on something like so deeply to you entirely from a single conversation with somebody? Probably not, right? Like, I don't think most of us have.
I don't think that a single conversation can have that kind of effect on somebody. I think that it's sort of like you plant the seeds and later the plant grows.
I agree.
But not immediately.
Exactly.
I agree. So I don't think, and this is my opinion, Daisy, but I don't think that we should be having our conversation saying, hey, your whole worldview is wrong. And I'm going to, and let me explain to you why. Like, that's a lot for someone to take in, right? Like, we gotta start with, okay, so you think faith is a reliable way of knowing things. Let's start with that. What makes faith better than other? I mean, you got to break these down piecemeal here, right?
Yeah, but do you think that that methodology that you're talking about is going to do this fast enough for people not to be harmed?
Well, that's an interesting question, isn't it? Sometimes speed and expediency is not the most ethical way of doing things, is it? I mean, I could say I wish there was a law that outlawed all of Christianity tomorrow, but I'm not sure if that's right morally. I don't know if I could actually agree with that deep down, right? Like, I want people to change their minds because they want to change their minds. I don't want to make people change their minds, right? There's something totalitarian about that makes it difficult for me to swallow.
But what I am actually like, there's I know you guys don't want to talk about politics too much, but like there is kind of forces that are coming against me right now.
Absolutely.
That are making it like having tangible effects in my life where I can't get the medicine that I need because of who I am and that kind of thing. And it's done from a place of sort of like Christian nationalism and this kind of thing. And so like I'm just kind of desperate here. Like I need a solution that can go faster than what.
I understand. I wish I could tell you. First of all, I can't advocate for direct action while I'm doing a show for the nonprofit that is the Atheist Community of Austin. Okay, I have limitations to my speech. First of all, let me put that out there. Okay, I have a reasonable range of things I can say. There's some stuff I can't get to. Okay, that they wouldn't let me say. But here's what I can say is that I'm with you, and I know Calvin's with you. And the fastest and most expedient ways that I can help you out, I want to help you out. Right. And I want to do what's within my power right now. I swear to you, Daisy, I try to do that every week. I've been trying to do that for years for folks exactly like yourself who are in a much more vulnerable position than I will probably ever be. And for that alone, that motivates me. So I want to do my best to help you, Daisy, and I'll try to give you all the solutions I can, but I'm only one person at the end of the day, like, just know you're not alone. There are other people thinking about you and your situation, and we're all on your side. We do want to help you. Sorry, Calvin, I've been hogging this conversation here, but I want you to chime in as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been agreeing with, really everything that you've been saying, I'm there with you 100%, Daisy. I want you to, live a long, happy life, not have to worry about, certain aspects of your life being, destroyed or changed because government says so. Just know like there's always community out there for you. I'm there for you. There's other people like you that are going through similar situations who I know would very much like to team up with you and change some things. So I think you're on the right path. You just need to just keep going. You'll find something.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I'm going to do my very best for everybody who's like me, and also for the ACA and everybody in those shows. So I'll let you guys go now. But thank you so much for your input. It actually was really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy. Thank you for calling. Man, that's hard. That's hard.
That is tough.
What do? Somebody's saying, I need help. There's forces at work that are trying to undermine my existence, which is all 100% true. What can I do? I think about that every day, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, same. Yeah. It really does break my heart, to see that people, to see not even just to see how privileged in some aspects of my life I am, that like, I don't have to deal with like, stuff, along those lines, I don't have to really deal with that. And like the fact that I want other people to be able to live their lives like they want to. And, they're just not able to. It's sad, I'm doing my best to help them where I can, but how much really can, you do unless you have a whole community of people that's, willing to back you up.
Yeah. There's different elements to this too. There's activism in the sense of, I want to help people work out their beliefs. And there's also, hey, we need to change this law like right now. That's a whole other can of worms that involves networking and rallying and writing things and all kinds of stuff. Like, it's hard, it's big, it's complicated, and I can't tell you how to solve everything. If I could, I wouldn't be here. I'd be trying to save everyone. I'm just trying to do my little part here, But I feel for you, Daisy. I really do. That's tough. Really, really tough. And my heart goes out to everyone right now that is feeling that way, because I know Daisy's not the only one. And I don't know. I can't speak for Calvin, but I know why I do the stuff that I do. I think we're of like mind on that. So
yeah, absolutely. I think that we're very similar in why, our reasoning for doing these things. Yeah.
Oh man, folks, you guys are wild today, coming up with all kinds of stuff. We're at that time. But hey, it's Memorial Day weekend. You want to take one more call, like real quick? Yeah, all right, let's do it.
Let's fit in one more. Why not?
We got one more here. I don't want to talk to them. They've been waiting for a minute here. We got Bagel calling in from Canada. Bagel, you are live on Truth Wanted. Calvin's already nodding his head. I think he knows this individual.
I don't, but I want to.
Oh, never mind. I thought I was like, oh, this is somebody that Calvin knows. Bagel. No, I guess not. Bagel, what's up?
No, man. What's up, 2025? Oh, Dan, what's going on, buddy? I got to call you again. Calvin, how are you, man?
Good. How are you?
I think last time I talked, I was listening to 2022 Dan, and now I'm in 2024 Dan. So we've listened to over a year Truth Wanted since we last talked. Yeah.
You've been catching up. Holy shit.
Work is long. Work is long, but I can listen to Truth Wanted, so that's dope. So, I think
can I ask you something? I've never asked this of anybody, Bagel. What is it like to hear my voice for hours on end? How are you not fucking annoyed by me? Because I would be annoyed by me. I get annoyed just listening to myself watching the week before, let alone what I said years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah, you know what? It's sometimes you're zoned in and zoned out, but because the show has so much variety, like that, you never kind of get bored because you never know what you're going to expect, right?
Hell yeah! I hope I'm like a good like ASMR thing for you. Yeah, whatever. I hope I integrate into your workflow. I hope I make you more productive or less productive if that's what you're trying to do. I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I'm interrupted you, Bagel. Go ahead.
The right term, because I can just kind of zone out and just listen to the show and kind of just flow through my work. So it's pretty good. But yeah, I think I beat Christianity in my head, and I call it the Freddy Krueger method of beating Christianity. Okay.
All right.
So I guess the first thing I got to explain is the game, and I just lost the game. And
dang it! And you know what? Here's another one, Bagel. I have another super chat that I need to act on, and I'm gonna lower this even more. We got one from Blind Limey, who donated earlier, and said, how are you, gentlemen? All your God are belong to us. Theism have no chance to survive. Make your time. Giving us $5. Thanks for that. All right, I'm up in the camera because we're getting towards the end of the show, so I'm trying to make myself real small here. There we go. Go ahead, Bagel.
Okay, so the only way to win at the game is to forget you're playing the game, and if you ever remember that you're playing the game, you've lost the game and you have to exclaim, I lost. So the only way to win is to forget you're playing. And then the only way to truly win, I guess, is to die, because you can really only lose at the game and never win. Okay. So that's like the first concept.
Yep.
So with Christianity, like the only way to heaven is through Jesus, right? Because he's like the truth, the way, and the life and all that. And the only way to him is through him.
Yep.
But if you're like a baby and you die, people just go, oh, they went to heaven, right? Because they're innocent and they never had a way to learn about Jesus. So they kind of get a free pass, right? But there's got to be someone on earth who was never told about Jesus for his entire life, right? There's like 8-9 billion people. It's had to have happened. There are remote people that just never hear about Jesus. So you live a good life, right? And then you die. And if everything is as I think it's to be, you die and you're just no more. But if you go to heaven and you're in the pearly gates, right? And you see this J. Mike looking guy sitting there and he goes, I'm not J. Mike, I'm J. Christ, right?
Ooh.
And you can just say, I don't know who you are, right? And then he's got to be like, well, do you believe in me? And it's like, well, yeah, you're standing right in front of me. So why wouldn't I believe in you, right? So, but he's still got to judge you because it's Judgment Day. So if you didn't know about him, what other metric would he judge you on than your works, right? Because it's faith and works. So it's not going to be like, how many hot dogs could you eat at the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, or how high can you jump? So if you're a good person and you never sincerely heard about Jesus, you should get a free pass. You should get into heaven, right? Yeah. So either way you win. You either die an atheist, or you just say, I believe in you because I'm looking at you, and I was a pretty good dude, right? So even though he says that the only way to him is through believing in him, even if you don't believe in him on earth, but you reach Judgment Day, he's there. So you know he's real, right? But if he's not real, then it's no big deal. So
yeah.
What do you think about
that? Go ahead, Calvin. You look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, no, I just was going to say, like, I mean, yeah, if you don't know, that just would basically mean that Jesus is a jerk. If he just like sends you to hell because you didn't ever like learn about him, but you didn't ever have the opportunity to learn about him. Like you get there and Jesus is like, oh man, you don't know about me. You know, we're going to send you off in the other direction. Like that would, for one, make him a jerk, you know, because it's like, you didn't do anything wrong. You just lived your life without hearing about him. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on like, as far as like the babies dying and going automatically to heaven, I guess it kind of depends on your like denomination of Christianity. Cause like some denominations would say, oh, that baby wasn't baptized. Sorry. Yep. You know, like that's,
it depends.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work for Catholicism. I know that. But so here's,
well, it does. No, actually, Catholicism is one where it does work. They talk about invincible ignorance, right? Which is when someone's not aware.
Baptized right away.
No. Catholicism teaches invincible ignorance, which is the idea that if you don't have understanding of the moral law, then you can't be accountable for it. So they are not of that mindset. But again, this has been talked about by theologians and stuff. I couldn't tell you the individual thought patterns, but they kind of go different ways. One, it depends on your view of salvation, right? Whether it's through Jesus or not, because there are some Christians that actually don't think you have to actually like pray to Jesus and stuff to be a Christian. I know that's kind of out there, but they do exist. There's also this idea of like you said, baptism and stuff, right? Whether baptism is what counts as being saved and stuff, but some make it more metaphorical. Like it doesn't even have to be the literal spirit inside of you that's saving you. And then they actually do have accounts for Catholics where babies in particular, right, are kind of exempt from this. And even at least from one pope who said it's like children under 12. So there's exceptions and rules carved out for all kinds of this stuff. Because think about it, Catholics are all about the unborn, right? What happens to those babies? So, they have thought about it. I'm not saying they're good answers because they're bad. And the other side of this, though, the other side of this conversation is really bad. So there's this verse, I think it's in Romans, where they're like, for they knew you, but they turned away from you or whatever. And they take this and they're like, look, this actually applies to everybody in the world. So secretly, pretty much everybody actually knows God and is just denying them in their heart. They don't have to necessarily know about Jesus, but they know about being a good person or whatever, or knowing that there's something beyond themselves. And that rejection of that concept, makes him destined to go to hell. So again, like with a lot of answers with Christianity, it depends on your denomination, but they're all bad answers.
For the denominations that actually work, the conclusion is that for me, I'm a good person, but somebody already told me about Jesus, therefore I can reject him, right?
Yeah, there is that. There is this kind of, it's not great. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yep. Yeah.
But
because it's like, so by introducing people to the concept of Christianity, you're actually risking them going to hell, right? That's the problem.
Yeah, damning more people, because if it just went without knowing, right? So the best thing a Christian can do to save the most souls is just shut up about Christianity. Don't tell nobody. True. Maybe shred some historical documents and maybe a couple Bibles. I'm not saying you should do it, but some people can do what they got to do. But if you really want to save people, that's why it's like Freddy Krueger, because Freddy Krueger haunts you in your dreams. But if you have no knowledge or concept of Freddy Krueger, he can't haunt you. Jesus is Freddy Krueger in this scenario.
Thank you. It's the Rocco's basilisk of salvation. That's crazy.
Funny.
Wow.
I was going to call in about Rocco's basilisk, but I didn't know if it was ethical to share that on the air. You know what I mean?
Well, we didn't explain it, so I think we're good. I think that means we're good. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Don't look it up if you're scared. If you're easily scared by things, don't look up Rocco's basilisk. Anyway.
If you want to be an atheist and still be scared of hell, don't look up Rocco's basilisk.
It's true. We already talked about it like 2 weeks ago on here, I think. But oh well. Anyway, yeah, it's like I said, your mileage may vary depending on your Christianity, but it's one of those things where different sects of Christianity have tried to close this loophole in different ways, and they're all not great, in my opinion. But I don't know, Calvin, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Honestly, no. I mean, not really. I think we've pretty much said everything that needs to be said about it.
Yeah, I think so too. Bagel, thanks so much. I'm glad you got your call in last, and good luck to you completing.
Can I
yes.
give a last thought?
A last thought. You may go ahead.
Have you ever heard of a reverse exorcism?
A reverse exorcism? No.
It's when the demon tries to get the priest out of the boy.
Wow. Well, that's a thought.
Laughing at that, but
that's a thought that's been put out into the world. And guess what? Now, when you go back in time and you're going through the episodes, you get to listen to that. So there you go, Bagel.
Yeah, man.
That's great.
Art versus the artist. That's when we talked last. That was a good talk. So I was glad I could call in again.
Yeah, this is a very different conversation from art versus the artist, I gotta say. But I appreciate it nonetheless. Bagel, I gotta let you go. Thanks so much for calling into the show. Hope to hear from you again, and good luck on your journey. Listen, he called like last week or a week ago, and he's already up by like 2 years. That either means I don't know what that means, actually. Never mind. That's a lot. It's a lot of content.
That's a lot of content. Yeah. I mean, 3 years worth of stuff, and that's quite a bit.
Insane in the membrane. Well, Calvin, I have greatly enjoyed having you back on. I think everybody has greatly enjoyed having you back on. Would love to do it again sometime. But until next time, where can people find you at?
Yeah, heck yeah, man. I always have a blast being on here, hanging out with you, taking some calls, always a blast. Yeah, most people can find me on TikTok nowadays, Unquestionable Calvin. That's where I do most of my daily videos, and I usually do like live streams at least once a week over there, if not more frequently. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, literally anywhere. You just go somewhere on social media and type in Calvin Smith or Unquestionable Calvin. You'll find me. Just watch out with typing in Calvin Smith, because the executive director of Answers in Genesis Canada, his name is also Calvin Smith.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
Yeah. I've emailed him for a debate and he will not respond to me. So if anyone has connections to him, like, please, I need to talk to him in person.
You need to talk to him.
We have the same name. He's like twice my age, and like he believes in fairy tales, but like I want to talk to him.
What if we emailed and we're like, hey, we want to set up a debate, and like we don't tell him it's with you, and we just said that? Oh, that'd be sick. Oh my God.
Go. So yeah, just watch out with typing in Calvin Smith on like Spotify and stuff, because you could come across him, and that is not me.
That is, wow, that's awesome. That's so cool, man. That has to happen. That's if you were me, or if I was you, that would be a life goal. Honestly, I'd write that down. That's a bucket list item.
I've reached out to him. I've emailed him. I've made TikTok videos.
Do not give up on that dream
and stuff, because his Answers in Genesis Canada TikTok account is run by him. So like,
oh my God,
but he has comments turned off on all of his videos, so I can't.
Of course he does.
Can't respond to him.
Oh no. Okay.
But, yeah,
well,
that's where you find me pretty much anywhere if you're typing Unquestionable Calvin or Calvin Smith.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. Yes. That's how you check out Calvin. Appreciate you being on the show with us today. And if people want to hang out in the after show, Kelly, our backup host, is going to be there today. And speak of the devil, I think we should bring him back on, because Kelly, you got to tell us, what's the question this week?
Oh, yeah. The question is, oh, wow, what was it? It was complete the sentence. Mm-hmm. Due to the cesspool of social media, people now believe God is blank. I remembered.
There you go. Leave your comment below.
You know what, though? I took that big magnifying glass, and while I was sitting here backstage, I was searching the internet with it, and I found a photo, and I even took out my better, like more powerful magnifying glass.
Hold on. What do you mean you have a more powerful? That's more powerful than the big one?
Yeah, this is the one that a gem guy uses to look at diamonds, man. This thing is super powerful.
Why were we using that?
Well, because the big one was like giving me a really good picture, and I could see the whole thing.
The big one was giving you really good energy. I will say that.
I did find a photo that I think proves aliens.
Okay. All right. Whoa. Oh my God. Oh, wow. I'm not going to ask you anywhere where you got that. I'm just going to believe you. That's crazy, dude.
So that's awesome. That happened. Can I say something to Daisy though, real quick? And it's something that I did, and I see a lot of people when they first start doing activism. It's a mistake that a lot of people do, and I just want you to remember that being nasty to people and having them being nasty to you and having somebody yell at you probably never convinced you of anything. So just don't fall into that trap. And I'm not saying you will. It's just a piece of advice because I did when I was younger and first started doing this. So.
And Daisy was real gung ho. My add on to that is, don't feel like you got to change the world by yourself, because I get it. That's a lot of pressure, though. Well, there's a lot of people that are in this thing. See who's out there. You know, help others by helping yourself. Seriously. But anyway, I
think Bagel told us he doesn't have a life after going through all that.
I don't know what Bagel was. It was like, do we need to censor that? Like that. That's what makes me. I don't know. That was a crazy. I mean, I'm trying to be so
expecting that.
I gotta say, Dan, it's really fun to be taller than you.
I know, right? How crazy is this? I mean, I could keep going lower. Maybe we should just end the show and progressively get lower as we go on. I think this is pretty good. Well, lighting's really bad. Anyway. Let's see. Do I have anything else I need to say? Calvin, of course, we have to have the words of wisdom from you, Calvin. If you could give us just some words of wisdom to wrap up today's show, what would you say?
Yeah, words of wisdom would be for, I guess, have good reason and evidence for the things that you believe in. You know, because I mean, I think I'm pretty confident in saying that most people want to know as many true things as possible. And the only way we're going to do that is if you have evidence and good, epistemic reasoning for why you believe in those things. So don't just go around touting around that there's an invisible man in the sky or that aliens are on Mars or something. Like, please be able to provide those evidences for those people. Because, if aliens are actually on Mars, I want to believe that too.
I like that. If aliens are on Mars, I want to believe that too. Folks, this has been a great episode of Truth Wanted. I'm your host, Objectively Dan. Remember to always keep wanting the truth. And I'll see you next time.
Watch the non-prophets and join the hosts in the live chat. Visit tiny.cc/ytnp.